Discuss more is Dr. Emmanuel Navon, CEO of the Euromed Middle East Council, as well as an international relations lecturer at Tel Aviv University. Emmanuel, what are we seeing right now when it comes to these European countries? First, France, which doesn't really come as a surprise. Now, Italy, which appears to be a little bit more of a legality issue. But when it comes to Europe as a whole, are we seeing a united front in opposition to this war?
No, we're not. Clearly, there are other European countries that did not adopt the Spanish, French, and Italian line. Of course, Germany especially has been mostly supportive of the United States and of Israel in that war. As we know, there are 27 members of the European Union. Add to these non-EU members such as the UK and Norway. There is no European policy on any foreign issue, especially when it comes to the Middle East. What there is, however, is a group of European countries that is openly, challenging the United States. And sometimes you wonder if they wish for the victory of Iran or of the United States and of Israel. In a way, it is reminiscent of the 1973 Yom Kippur War, when all those European countries refused the access to their airspace to the American Air Force that sent military equipment to Israel. But very clearly, this is going to widen the rift between those governments and the United States, not only on the issue of Iran, but generally speaking, America today is building a grand coalition to face China and Russia. And it seems very clearly that it cannot count on all European governments.
Certainly, there is a divide in how these European governments are responding. What could this indicate then about long-term European security priorities, and if we're going to see a gap or a rift in some of the countries within Europe themselves?
Very clearly, yes. What we see today, for example, is that as a result of the war in Ukraine, countries such as Germany and Poland are turning into major military powers in Europe. And this is a new phenomenon. I think, generally speaking, countries in Eastern Europe are much more aware of the military dangers coming from Russia and from the alliance between Russia and Iran, and are much more willing to align with the United States. On the other hand, countries in Southern Europe, especially Spain, are completely ignoring the requirements as NATO members, not only in terms of cooperating with the United States, but also in terms of their military spendings. So those divides, of course, are also relative and a function of the different types of government in place in those countries. It's along political lines as well. But there is a power shift in Europe as a result also of the war in Ukraine, as I said before, with Germany emerging not only as the major economic power, but also very likely as a major and even dominant military power.
How much longer can these European countries then stay out of this war, especially amid this mounting U.S. pressure?
Well, as President Trump said, rightly so, it is for them to decide if they want to get their oil from the Middle East, because the United States today is independent, is energy independent. It doesn't need the oil from the Middle East. We're no longer in the 1970s. And the European countries are the one in need of oil from the Middle East. So if they want to open the Strait of Hormuz, they should do it themselves. And hiding between the legality argument is really absurd, because as it is, if it hadn't been for the military operation from the United States and Israel, Iran would already have a nuclear capability and would be able to shield itself and to threaten Europe with its long-term missiles. And of course, expecting a decision from the Security Council is completely absurd, given the policy of China and Russia. Russia itself is an aggressor in Ukraine. So continuing to use this argument of the lack of Security Council resolution is completely disingenuous. And I think President Trump is correct to tell the Europeans that if they want the oil from the Middle East, they'd better get their acts together.
Dr. Emmanuel Navon, great to have you with us on i24news today. Thank you for that insight.